Last month in March, I ended up reading 20 books, which that was just for fun. I didn't purposely do that. However, I was like, well, what if I do it again this month? Try and read 20 books, but film it for you guys and do a little April wrap up. Do I actually end up reading 20 books? I don't know. You just have to watch the video to find out. It is the 3rd of April. I finished reading 2 books today, which is great. I kind of rushed reading this book, but the first book I'll talk about later in this video because there's a lot in that series. So I just wanted to talk about them together instead of individually because then I'll have nothing to say. You'll see later in this video. I finished reading 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐢, which this book I originally was going to D and F, and I'm so glad I didn't because it was such a good book. The way that it is written is very interesting because it's a bunch of files, interviews, and text messages, and over time we slowly kind of unravel the mystery because it is very confusing at first and then everything happens and I was literally shocked. But this book is basically set in space. There are 3 spaceships and there's a virus that occurs in one of them, and obviously virus horrible, especially in a small enclosed spaceships, and this virus kind of just spreads. It makes you kind of act like a zombie. You start attacking people and killing people because you just get very angry. And over the course of this book, I don't really know how to explain it, but it's a really good book and I definitely recommend it. I will say that it is somewhat sad. If you're a very emotional person, you will get hit by certain scenes, but it's so good. I've been slowly reading Kami-sama Kiss and I finished volume 2. This was an anime that I watched when I was younger and I don't really know if they fully showed everything that happened in the manga, so I was like, you know what, why don't I just read it? Because now I'm trying to read a lot of the mangas where I watched the anime when I was younger, but a lot of them are very long, and that's why I said I'm reading this very slowly because I could binge it all, but I don't want to binge it all. I think it would make my brain hurt a little bit. This is basically about this girl named Nanami, and her father is a terrible father. He's broke, he runs away, and he leaves her with a lot of debt, and basically she gets kissed on the head by the land god and he leaves a mark and then she becomes a land god. Yeah, I don't really have anything to say because it is a manga and I'm only on volume 2. Umberland is the second book to Everland, and it's kind of like this fairy tale retelling-ish, and to be honest, I had this book in my TBR since 2017 and I feel like if I was a lot younger when I read this book, I would have enjoyed it a lot more because reading it right now, the story and the plot overall just felt really lackluster and it also felt too easy. There weren't any plot twists or things that kind of spiced up the story, you know? I did really like the romance though between Alyssa and Maddox, the chemistry that they had, even though their relationship developed too quickly. I don't know, something about the way that it was written I really liked. However, this is the second book to the series. I don't think I'm gonna continue on with it or finish it because it's a trilogy, which makes me sad, but I kind of read the end of the 3rd book and for me personally, it didn't seem like it was worth it, so not gonna read the 3rd book. This Time It's Real is a really cute little romance book. It's definitely a fast read. I literally read it in 2 hours, but I really enjoyed the chemistry between the 2 characters and how they slowly fell in love. I will say that I really wish we got more of them officially dating rather than them just getting to know each other and then once they officially got together it ended. I really hate when romance books do that because I want more of the cute moments when they're officially together rather than all the cute moments while they are fake dating or getting to really know each other. The Fake Out is a cute little romance book, which I've been searching for a romance book like this for a really long time. I really enjoyed the chemistry between the 2 characters. I really loved the characters. Overall, this was such a fun and fast book to read. I literally read it in 1 day because I enjoyed it so much. The only thing that really annoyed me about this book was the male possessiveness of the love interest, but at the same time, I really loved him because his obsession over her was, I kind of liked reading it, but yeah, it also gave me the ick at the same time. I wanted to do a little update because I kind of forgot that I was filming this video and I hope that this is the book that I'm up to because I can't remember if I did not film other clips for the other books that I finished, but I read Behind the Net, which is the first book, to the Fake Out, and this is like the Vancouver Storm series, so it's a lot of hockey. It's hockey romance, okay? I understand why people said that the first book isn't as good as the second one, because I read the second one first, and I love the second book just because of the chemistry between the two characters, as I talked about before. But I then read Behind the Net and I was like, this is kind of giving me the ick. There was too much, I think, male possessiveness in this book, and the two leads literally had no chemistry with each other because there was no build-up of their relationship, you know? It just happened out of nowhere, and it was very physical as well, which I didn't really enjoy. I read it because it was something that was easy to fly through and just gave me that like cool romance feel, but definitely wasn't my favorite. I am interested to see what the third book is about and how it is written, because I feel like the author probably improved the development of her storytelling. I then finished reading Strike This Ether, which this book I did kind of enjoy, but it didn't give me that 5-star feeling. And at the halfway point, I kind of lost motivation to read it, which ended up with me reading Behind the Net. And I finished that whole book in a day, and then I went back to Strike This Ether. It kind of did take me a little while to get through. I did really like the romance in this book. The plot was super interesting, and I really loved the characters, especially the main characters, and just overall the women in this book. It's been a while since I read Kami-sama Kiss, so I decided to read volume 3 of it because I read a lot of books in between, and I was like, you know what, it's time to read it. Gotta catch up with the volumes because there is quite a lot of them. What I really like about it is that Nanami in this book, such a hardworking girl. I remember when I watched the anime, I thought that she was the most plainest character ever, but in the anime, she's literally the prettiest girl I've ever seen. There's something about her that's so beautiful. Not Dead Enough is about this girl whose boyfriend passes away, and then she is haunted by his ghost, or she's getting stalked by someone. I do think that this book was very interesting. It does tackle very heavy topics such as abuse, which makes it difficult to kind of talk about. I think what I'm mainly focusing on is the mystery and thriller aspects, which in my opinion wasn't that good because I felt like there were certain things that were unresolved. It wasn't extremely satisfying, the whole reveal, because it was really obvious, and I wish that certain things were a little bit more developed, especially because of all the supernatural aspects. I honestly did not understand that and how it kind of played into the book, and the whole revelation of the antagonist as well. It was really obvious, but I just felt like nothing came out of that. The whole ending and the way that it built up to that revelation, it wasn't really shocking, and I didn't really care. Princess Trap is the second book to Princess Plot, which is a book that I read back in primary school, all the way back in primary school, and I honestly thought that I wouldn't like it because it may have been out of my reading age in terms of the writing, but I did end up liking it, and apparently I haven't read the second book yet, and then I was like, okay, I should go read it. But I'm pretty sure I have already read it, but I just ended up finishing it anyways because it was a pretty fast book to read. But it's a very simple plot. We have this girl who finds out that she's a princess, and then she ends up getting kidnapped, and there's a rebellion and everything. It's pretty easy, simple. I finished reading Sam the Gun, which is the second book to Strike This Ether, and I actually got the arc of this book, which I was really excited for because I recently signed up to NetGalley and I saw that they had the arc, and I requested for it. Didn't think I would actually get it, but maybe it was because when I requested it, I was reading Strike This Ether. But this book, I loved it. I loved the ending. And I think it was just such an interesting book to read because we follow the main character, and she's very manipulative and ruthless, and she holds this one character very dear to her heart. So she wants to do everything for her, make sure that she succeeds. It's a really interesting book to see how everything kind of unraveled, and honestly I was like, I don't know where this book is going, and it's kind of making me want to cry because it was so suspenseful. I was really afraid that it was going to end badly, but it was very open-ended, and With the romance as well, I kind of expected it to go a certain way because I was like, no way that this romance will work out because there are so many things that are dividing them from being together. But then the ending I was like, okay, they have a chance. I also then read the bonus chapter, which is called In Another Life, which if you have read the second book and you need more from the ending, read the bonus chapter, because literally while reading it I was giggling, I was kicking my feet, and it's so interesting because the whole entire time you get the point of view of Cypher and now you get the point of view of Crow, and I know that I'm going to be thinking about this book and that bonus chapter for the rest of my life. So it is the 28th of April, so I'm very close to the end of the month. I wanted to talk about the first book that I finished this month because, like I mentioned before, it's quite a lot of them. So I read the Apothecary Diaries from volume 3 to volume 10, and overall I really enjoyed all of these volumes. They were really fast to read, but also they're packed with a lot of mysteries, a lot of side quests. We get to meet a lot of characters that I really loved reading about, and it's just such an interesting book. I honestly love reading light novels. Something about reading them is kind of satisfying. As of right now, I have completed the 20 books. If you consider In the Afterlife as like a book, but I'm gonna count that because I read it. However, since I still have 3 days left, I'm just gonna see, well, it's technically 2 days actually. I'm just gonna see what books I end up reading during that time. I don't expect to read that much. Right now I'm currently reading 𝐛𝐨𝐲𝐢𝐬𝐡 and I am 43% into it. I've been reading this book slowly after I finish reading other books, so I haven't been making my way through this book that much, but next month I want to focus more on this book. I want to read 𝐜𝐨𝐬𝐽𝐻 volume 4 and I want to start reading One Last Stop. So that's what I'm hoping to finish this month, or at least start. But you know what, I'm not in a rush because I feel like I already read a lot this month. I'm literally doing my nails right now, so everything is a mess. But it is finally the 30th of April, meaning it's the last day of this video, so I just thought, you know what, let me wrap everything up because I don't think I'm gonna finish reading anything else. So I ended up reading volume 4 and 5 of 𝐜𝐨𝐬𝐽𝐻. I was originally just gonna read one volume, but then I was like, this is kind of getting good and I'm feeling the romance, so I decided to read volume 5. Don't know when I'm going to continue on with the manga. I did read a little bit of 𝐛𝐨𝐲𝐬𝐡 and I started reading One Last Stop, but I ended up DNFing it just because it wasn't really what I was looking for, and to be honest, I kind of knew it wasn't what I wanted to read at the moment, but I forced myself to get into it. I don't know. I'm just not really into the idea of, I guess, supernatural romances, and I just want a pure romance. But I may pick this book up again in the future. I'm just not really in the mood for it right now, so I ended up picking Flawless, which is the first book in the Chestnut Spring series, which everyone has been talking about this series. It's extremely popular and it felt like a romance book that I would like. A romance book that I'm kind of looking for at this stage because I just wanted something that's like easy and fun to read. I wanted to do a little statistics of all the books that I've read. So obviously this month I've read 22 books. 8 of them were light novels, 1 of them was sci-fi, 4 of them were mangas, 4 fantasy, 3 romance, 1 thriller, and 1 YA. And I'm basically putting them in the categories that Goodreads kind of put them in. Next month, I don't think I'm gonna read this many books. I felt like last month it was fun, but this month, because I was pressuring myself to read all these books, it kind of drove me crazy. So I swear next month I'm just gonna relax, read as many books as I want, don't pressure myself. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed watching this video and I'll see you guys in another one. Bye!